Welcome back to BYU Sports Nation. I'm Jarom Jordan alongside Blaine Fowler, getting ready for an after further review tonight. Or, excuse me, you guys are off.
Yeah, bye week.
Bye week? Nope, taking it off. You're good. JK, go on demand. Watch the previous episodes on BYUSN.com.
We already made our predictions and everything for Saturday.
Absolutely.
We'll be back next Tuesday for
Yes, getting ready for Stanford, which is used to be a conflict of interest for you, but now it's not with Dallas or something.
Yeah, not so much. But Dallas still roots for him. Now even Dallas is torn because that's his alma mater, so he roots for him all the time. But he's got Gavin, his brother-in-law, that's coaching at BYU, and so it's like he's almost torn at this point. So
he hasn't signed the conflict of interest.
Yeah, me. I'm not torn. Yeah, I'm not torn anymore.
No, absolutely, because they're paying you.
That's right.
Okay, let's talk about what we were just talking about, Blaine, which is we've got a unique senior day situation. There are a handful of guys who we know are out of eligibility. There are other guys who are juniors and others. COVID and whatnot has resulted in a massive list of 34 dudes that BYU is going to honor. Who are you hoping comes back next year realistically? Because obviously we could say Jaron, Puka, Blake, and Clark. That'd be great.
Should we just throw those ones off?
They're probably gone,
throw
right?
those off, yeah. I think that those four are especially with, I thought a couple weeks ago maybe Jaron comes back because they're having a bit of a struggle. He was trying to recover from the shoulder. And even though he says, and the coaching staff says, oh, he was fine, the throws we saw him making last week, we didn't see him making 2 weeks previous or 3 weeks previous. And so clearly, whether he thought it was or not, that was affecting his play. And he was also looking a little bit tentative running the ball, and I think he was probably getting instructions just, hey, do not get hit, don't hurt that shoulder, and it affected his play. At that time, he wasn't looking like an NFL guy. He looked like an NFL guy again next week. I think these next two games are really important for him. If he can come out and pick up where he left off last week and then go against Stanford and have a really good game and have a good bowl game, I think he's right back there, drafted in the early rounds, and he's out. And I do think that Barrington and Freeland are probably out as well. There's a lot of talk around that. And then Puka, can we blame him for going out?
No,
he's not.
He's amazing.
He's not just an NFL wide receiver. He's a starting NFL wide receiver. Like, he's that good. He's going to be in the league as long as he can stay healthy for a long time. He's got that skill set and he's got the mentality, and that he loves the grind, but he enjoys the grind. He's like a gym rat in football, and those kinds of guys with his skill set make it. And I think he will. So those four are gone. There's some curious ones on the list. Ones that I think Max Tooley's coming back. Just from what I'm hearing. And, Kalani's philosophy on this is, hey, with the COVID and all that, it's just been so strange. Anybody that has been here that amount of time, we want to make sure they get honored. Even if somebody's telling us they're coming back, we want them to be able to be honored, have their family there, get their blanket, and do all of that. What if they decide in the offseason they're either not going to play football again, or they've decided they're going to go on? We just want to ensure we don't miss anybody, but we're leaving the door open for anybody as well. I think Max is one of those. I think that he comes back. Keenan Peely, I think, could go one way or the other. I think he should come back. I think he still has more to prove out on the field.
Amen.
And I think that if Max and Keenan come back and can stay healthy for a whole season next year in the Big 12 and show that they can compete at that level, then all of a sudden there's a possibility that they both get drafted. I don't think either is a draft pick at this point, and it's a really, really long haul to try to make it as a free agent signee. And, I think some people learned that the hard way from this BYU team, last year and the year before that went out, that could have been back playing with this team. So those are a couple that I think. What about Peyton Wilgar? I think Peyton's going to go. I think he has that mindset right now. I think Peyton could absolutely benefit from coming back as well. But I think that he's more set on going just from the things you hear coming out. And he's got that. And he's okay being perhaps undrafted? Because I'm not sure with the season. I think he'll crush the combine. Yeah, I think because his combine numbers will be really, really good. I'm just wondering if he could become a pick more surely next year. Well, the same thing goes for him that I mentioned for Max and for Peely. If he could come back in the Big 12 against that level of competition and shine and stay healthy, I mean, that's the issue for all these guys, is their ability to stay healthy. That was Jaron's thing this year, Blaine, was can you play a whole season without missing a bunch of games? And Jaron has checked that box until this point. Right. And he even showed that he could play with a nick, Yep. Played through it. Yeah. And you're playing through a throat. Yeah, and I know. Just cough it out. Just cough it up. During games, we have a cough button. Yes. We have a little box. We don't have it in this situation, so Blaine battling through that. Yeah, so Gunnar Romney is another one that's on that list that is, I think he's an NFL talent, but he just hasn't even played this year.
Does he? I mean, he has a chance to redshirt and return
He would
if
have
he
to
wants.
get he would have to get a COVID year in a 6th year.
Well, he hasn't used a redshirt, Blaine.
That's
This
true.
could be
So
straight redshirt.
That's true because he's got COVID and
Yes.
redshirt.
Yes, he could just
So-
straight redshirt.
He's the one that's the most curious to me. How healthy can he be, and how can he look in the comeback? Because he's certainly got film, but this is 2 years in a row, and it's been fluke stuff.
Yeah.
Right, just the weirdest kind of injuries. Like
Yeah.
not he's not durable, just strange, weird types of things. You fall on the football and injure a kidney.
In day 3 of practice in
Right,
August.
it's just such a strange thing. And so you look at him.
And those numbers are just off the
Right,
charts.
and
Those
so-
are fantastic
so
numbers over his career.
It's going to be interesting. Kalani will ensure that all of these guys, especially guys like Gunnar and guys like Keenan, get with the right people in the NFL that can level with them and say, listen, this is where our team is projecting you. This is where other teams. This is the consensus on what you're doing. You're not going to improve your stock at all. I remember talking to James Empey last year, and James was told, you're probably a free agent guy, but that's all you're going to be next year. And James was looking, going, man, I've been hurt a bunch. I'm getting older. I need to try to do this. This has been my dream. If I don't make it, I'm okay with that. And I after talking to him, I'm thinking, okay, he made an educated decision to go do that. I think some of these guys that we've mentioned, when they have the conversation will be, with the injuries and the way you played this year, you're not going to be drafted. You probably can sign as a free agent. If you come back next year and can stay healthy and can have these types of numbers, you could move into being a drafted player. And then I think you've got to go, oh, man, is there an NIL deal there for me that brings me back? Is there insurance policy that I can get that ensures that I don't get hurt? If I do get hurt, that I don't lose everything? And can I move myself up? Because if you're drafted, especially if you're drafted in the first 4 rounds, and especially in the first 3, you're going to make the team in the first 3 rounds. If you're an undrafted free agent, you're a long shot from the get-go, and that's the issue. So I think those conversations will be had in the offseason, and some of these guys on that junior list are curious. There's another one that's on that list that I'm almost certain is coming back. So I think Max is coming back. I think Malik Moore's coming back.
Yeah. Redshirted to come back.
And so he
made a choice to not play.
Yeah, he broke that hand.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, you're going to be out 8 weeks. And then it was, wait a minute. So I've played less than 4 games. I come back for a game or 2 at the end of the year. I can't show what I have. I need to come back next year.
Straight red shirt.
And so it's a straight red shirt for him. He's on that list for the reasons we talked about, but he's coming back. Malik's coming back. And I truly believe Max is coming back. And some of these others are iffy.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, and they have a few months, right? They don't have to figure that out for
Harris
a while.
LaChance is one that's on that list.
Yes, I would love for Harris to be back because he would anchor, I think, right tackle next year.
Yes.
With probably Kingsley over at left tackle.
And I think Harris has a chance to move up, right? He's playing in the shadow of Blake and of Clark, right now.
At right guard.
I think he has a chance to shine and play tackle and get stronger, and so I think that Harris has a chance to really improve his stock. So that's somebody I would like to see come back that's on that list. So we'll see. Those I think Keenan, I think Max, I think. Well, Gunnar is really curious, right?
Interested to see, because Baylor had a year of eligibility, chose not to.
Right.
Wouldn't be surprised if Gunnar was like, I'm just done with football.
Yeah.
This has been too much. Who knows?
Here's the thing about Gunnar, though. Gunnar loves football. Some guys, it's on their face. Puka, everybody knows Puka just loves football, right? He just loves it. He loves the whole process. He loves practice. He loves all of that. Gunnar loves football. And so you would have to love it to come back and do that, right?
Yes.
And so, but I think in his heart, he loves football. He's that kind of a guy that missed it when he was hurt and was out. And so that's what gives me a sliver of a chance that maybe he comes back and says, let's do this again and let me stay healthy and not have these fluke injuries.
Okay, we'll find out. Blaine Fowler joining us here on BYU Sports Nation. Let's talk hoops. Obviously a disappointing loss, although not unexpected per se, Friday at San Diego State, where BYU leads for 31 minutes, plays a really nice game. Unfortunately, the last 5, San Diego State takes over there. Now, Missouri State, which is a sneaky game Wednesday. That was a 6-point game on the road last year. BYU won. And then Nichols out of Louisiana coming in Saturday and then it's the Bahamas for 3 tough ones. What does BYU need to accomplish this week, and what are your takeaways after 2 games?
My takeaways are that this team has skills. Like, it's a very skilled basketball team. And I've been watching him in practice, and I know it didn't show up in the first game, the shooting, but I think this is a team that's going to, before it's all said and done, shoot the ball really well. Right now, they're all trying to grasp a new concept in how they play. And they're going to play really fast. This team's going to be really fun to watch because they're going to pressure on D, and they're going to run up and down the court, and they're going to play fast. And that's not how all of these guys have played, whether they transferred in or they're returning. So this is new. They've got to figure out, and this old saying that we use all the time, how to play fast without being in a hurry. So get up and down the floor, push the basketball. When it's time to take a shot, you take a good shot, and you take enough time to be fundamentally sound. That's why I think they're missing shots early. I think they're rushing some shots. But in that San Diego State game early, all of a sudden I was going, oh, they're playing fast against a team that's got a lot of length and talent, and they're knocking down some shots, and they're taking care of the ball. But before the game was over, that old bugaboo that they had in the first game came back, and they turned the ball over too many times.
20 turnovers again.
Yeah, and so to me, that's the biggest single issue right now, figuring out how to play fast without being in a hurry. When you're in a hurry, you make bad decisions, and you turn the ball over. When you're in a hurry, you don't get set, you don't stay fundamentally sound, you don't knock down shots. I saw flashes of big improvements in the San Diego State game against better competition, but they've got a ways to go. And Mark Pope told us it's going to be a team in progress. And so far, I think they're ahead of where I expected it based on what Mark told us to begin with. I think Rudy Williams is going to settle in and be really good. I really do. I feel like he's been really rushed.
Yes, 12 turnovers first 2 games.
Really rushed.
Yeah.
But when I look at his skill set, once he figures out the speed and the length of the game at this level, I think he's going to be really, really good. You watch him develop. It's going to take another couple of games, but I think he's going to settle in, and we're all going to go, wow, that was a really good transfer.
This week could be that week to settle in because next week you have USC, and then you're staring at Kansas, Tennessee, Dayton. There's a really good crew of quad 1 opportunities there for BYU. And it's interesting, Blaine, because just what we saw against San Diego State was like, okay, this team can hang, right? This team can play. And I don't know that we expect this team to make the tourney, and that's why we weren't, like, devastated Friday. But it was like, hey, step in the right direction. Unfortunately, lost a game you probably could have won. And here's how big the game was, Blaine. Gonzaga and Michigan State play on the aircraft carrier. Jay Billis and Seth Greenberg over there. They go over to Viejas to go watch this game. And Bill Walton showed up.
Yeah, it's
little puff of smoke, some incense.
And I think they did enough for the for the national pundits. Was that what we call them?
Sure.
To go, hey, this team there's a lot of new faces. This team might be better than we thought it was going to be, and they recognize there's so many new faces that they're going to have a hard time melding together at first.
It's college basketball.
Yeah,
everybody's got like half a new
squad without penalty for transferring and all that. It's just crazy every year, right? Transfer portals change the game, and so I felt like in the San Diego State game they made great progress, and I kept waiting for them to fall apart. Is that terrible that I was waiting for them? I'm like, they're playing so well right now, but down the stretch, do they have enough guys that have played together for long enough to understand who is supposed to handle the ball in the clutch situation down the stretch, who's supposed to take the shot, who's supposed to deliver the assist, and how they're supposed to communicate defensively and get stops? And I just was doubting it. I'm like, it's too early in the season for that to happen. Maybe it's my fault.
Well,
I think it's my fault.
No, I don't. I'm not that superstitious. But I did feel like, BYU's shooting 55% or whatever it is, and they're up by 4.
Right.
And the turnovers were a big deal. Also, fouling, sped up and fouling resulted in 20 more free throws and 16 more makes, which BYU offset by made threes, by the way. But the turnovers feel like a controllable element, Blaine.
Right.
It's not like shooting is like shoot. That's a skill-based thing. Turnovers is like, hey, take care of the ball. Only have 14 or 15 turnovers. You win that game, which is exciting.
Yeah, and they're going to get used to playing like this and continue to get in better shape. because I think you foul when you get tired, and I think fundamentally they foul when they reach. So when they're in a hurry, you know, and this is something that's really, really coachable. You know, it's like, hey, stay in this position. I don't want any more of this, right? If you're going to swipe up, you know, stay long, play defense with your feet. When you get tired, you've got to focus to play position defense with your feet and slide and not reach. So you get tired, you keep your feet in place, somebody starts to go by you, and then to try to stop him, you reach out and you contact. Or you're tired, you don't have great footwork, the guy turns the corner on you, and now you follow him on his way to the rim. As they get more used to playing defense with one another, the help's going to be there faster, they're going to anticipate better. They're learning a whole new system on both ends of the floor. And so I have great hope that they're going to be able to control the fouls. They fouled way too much.
Yeah, 26 fouls against San Diego State. Okay, Blaine.